Cabernet Sauvignon. So we took two of the best grapes in California and put it all in one glass. Now, classically, none of these grapes get put into the same glass because no one's crazy like we are here. Right? But it's one of the most experimental wines we've ever made over the years. Has been Pinot, Zin, and Cab. Sometimes just Zin and Cab, a little sprinkles of Pinot. But this one's been one of the years that we use quite a bit, 70% Pinot. Okay. And the rest is from the Pine Mountain Cab. Have you had our Cab?
I think we have.
Yeah, we have.
I'm sure. Well, how long have you guys been members for? A while?
5 years?
Okay.
5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
I don't know.
Mendo time doesn't matter,
Yeah.
So.
What's your favorite Lula wine?
They're all good.
So we get a special treat today because Ernest is taking us out into the vineyard with a beverage.
Yes, multitasking today.
Not everybody gets this tour.
No, and we're gonna probably add it complimentary for our wine club members in the future. We're gonna do we got some new plans. Like up there, we'll see how far that goes, but we really want to do like a reserved tasting for. Obviously, wine club members will be for free, but for other guests, I think it could be a hit.
That's what we like about this winery is it's very like you guys just let us walk around in the vineyard and really explore it. And you guys are also super knowledgeable on telling us, everything that's going on around here.
Josie, you like going for a ride?
Be able to get to see the rescue block up here. So right here is the beginning of our rescue block. Now this is right here when we bought the property back in around 2010. Before we were going to lay everything out, there was no vineyards here. This was actually covered by a bunch of blackberries, like just covered like a blackberry kingdom. So we didn't know. But once we got closer to this blackberry kingdom, there was around 1,000 vines here.
Wow.
It would have been easier just to bulldoze everything and start brand new, but we went ahead and rescued all of them. So that's why we call this the rescue block. So this is our pinnacle wine. You guys typically get at least one a year. These are the oldest vines approximately planted back in 2009. But yeah, right here is kind of like the highest point of the vineyard. Gets the last drops of sun too during harvest, so gets that nice fruit, red licorice. Obviously it's pretty undefeated. I haven't met anybody who doesn't like this bottle right here.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh, there's a jackrabbit. Watch out.
That is something that Josie would take off after.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can see there's still some leftover blackberries here. They're slowly coming back. We kind of keep them back every year, but keep coming back. But up here we'll go down this lane here, but from up there we'll show you where hopefully we can put some cool experience up here. Look at the view over here.
Oh yeah.
That's a different ball game here. We have over there is pretty much all owned by Rotary Estate. They own around a quarter of our valley, around 700 acres.
Holy moly.
Yeah, and here we only own 15 acres. So, but yeah, this is gonna be kind of our shot that people can bring their own picnic. So instead of just going down there, you reserve the table up here, and then we'll give you a ride, and give you a walkie-talkie. And plenty of water.
That's funny.
And let you guys do whatever you guys need to do over here. I think it can be a pretty cool experience, for a lot of people,
so, yeah.
Especially for wine club members, right? Okay. It's a little bit better than down there, I think, personally. With proper shade, I think.
We keep coming back.
Yeah, yes. So here you're gonna go down the aisle. So you can kind of see Dijon 667. These are all different types of Pinot Noir clones. Obviously, we have the good old fava beans in between to fix the nitrogen in the soil.
Yeah, we've never been here when the vines are all cut back.
Yeah, then the Gewürztraminer. We got a couple more Dijon Pinots. They're all here. You're gonna have to come here and harvest. It's pretty cool. You get to eat some grapes. They're not very good. The Gewürztraminer grapes are a little bit sweeter than the other ones, but
When do you typically harvest?
depends on the weather. September, October.
Okay.
Classically September, but it could also be October depending on the year. This is Chabertin. You're about to drink this next. You're enjoying the Farrington right now, but that's next. You got the Dijon 115, the 777s, the Pommard. So these are the Lula Vineyard is going to be selected from the best vineyards here. But the Chabertin and the Von Romani, you're about to taste it. This is only coming from this side of the vineyard, and it's going to be one of our boldest. It's one of my favorites, honestly. No one really grows these clones anymore because there's better Dijon clones to grow for production, but we don't care. We care about flavor and a heritage clone like that. So
Everything is obviously hand-picked here.
yes.
So I read on some of the cards. Is there certain ones that are picked at night? Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, because of sugar levels.
Okay.
You always want to pick at night because I had the parking brake the whole time. Allegedly. I'm like, well, that's weird. Yeah, you want to pick at night because during the day, your grapes can get beaten up when you pick them and you stack them all together. And then because it is daytime, the sugar levels are normally going to be higher. And then at night, sugar levels drop. And if you want your sugar levels to be a certain amount, you want to do it at night because everything's more gentle. We don't make our wine here, so when we transport it, it goes in a semi with big old carts.
Okay.
Obviously, it's like 2 hours away, so you definitely don't want to do it during the daytime. So it just turned into like mush. And that's farming life. Period. 101. You only harvest at night, regardless.
So how did Lula get its name?
Well, Lula got its name because Jeff Hansen, the original winemaker, rest in power, he's no longer with us. His grandma's name was Lula. Him and Ken Avery, our owner, started Lula back in 2010. But ironically, Lula didn't drink any wine.
Poor Lula.
Yes. One of my favorites because it has those characteristics of being grown in the deep end here. Darker fruits like black and blue fruits compared to that red rose petals that we were drinking earlier. So definitely enjoy it. Look at the color on this. It has like a beautiful fuchsia, magenta if you want to get into your Crayola colors scheme there. This is one of my favorites here. This can hold up to a lamb's rack, a wild boar pork chop, stuff like that. Really, really good. Or maybe just an empty stomach while watching a movie.
Yeah. What's this one? Is this the
CVR?
Oh, okay.
The Chabertin Von Romani. We passed it on the right hand side. Yep. So
They sell Maggie, other people use Maggie.
yeah, luckily for us, we're the only ones that can actually put the name Maggie Hawk on our label. Okay. So 2 miles past us means even colder than the CBR or Lula. So this is going to be one of our earthiest that we make.
So what wines are you going home with?
I don't know yet. Good ones.
Rick's making his selections. Farrington.
Farrington Chardonnay.
Hope you enjoyed this little tour of Lula Winery. They're located in the deep end of the Anderson Valley on Highway 128. If you've been watching us for a while, you know that these are the wines we're usually drinking fireside while camped out in some epic place that Rick has found.
So we
have a case
bought
and 4 bottles.
we bought a little
So 10 bottles?
we bought a little bit of wine.
And we even shared some old stuff.
We did.
The server.